that you can use Secure to strengthen your units or gain access to others. Know that you can use Secure to strengthen your units or gain access to others.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As a guy here, bringing to you the ninth day of the APAC CBL 2025. So we have two battles for today. They will conclude the first round of the knockout phase, and that is Team AMG versus Frank GGG, Less of God versus Nobility. First of all, we have our pick bands. Unfortunately, we don't get graphics for these.
Know that you can use Secure to strengthen your units
But
or
to
gain access
conclude,
to others.
wrong one. Team AMG banned out Crick Castle. Frank GGG banned out Angolia. And then AMG picked out White
Know
Elk
that you can use
Fort,
Secure to
followed
strengthen
by
your units
Frank
or gain
GGG
access to
choosing
others.
Constantinopolis. So, by the looks of it, we'll be having Frank GGG's attacking first on Constantinopolis, otherwise known as Reginopolis. The internals and external kind of like naming conventions are a little bit skewed sometimes, a bit different. But more interestingly enough, we have AMG,
Know
which I
that you can
suspect
use
probably
Secure
banned
to
out
strengthen your units or
Lions Raw
gain
Crew,
access to
followed
others.
by Spartan Chosen. Well, yeah, that's it. So Team AMG banned out Lions Raw Crew, Spartan Chosen, Shenji Grenadiers, and did not pick any unit to be safe to pick, interestingly enough. Frank GGG banned out the Harangs, Daggerank Lancers, and Winged Hussars, picking the Sunwoods Phalanx as their safe to pick. So those are the pick bans for the first round of matches between AMG and Frank GGG. Give me 2 moments. I'm going to set up
Know that you can use
a
Secure
media.
to strengthen your units or gain access to others.
That's interestingly enough. Let's pull this down. Something more interesting than something more interesting than nothing. So, if you guys want any preference between the clean feed or the in-game, it's kind of up in the air here. But I'm thinking I'm going to go with the observer mode and see if you guys prefer me doing the camera works, or you can watch the dev stream at the same time and see if you like their camera work, see if that's a little bit better. But other than that, I think it's always really great that we have the opportunity for both. Only one or the other is a little bit harsh, I would say. Nevertheless, I do hope you enjoy the matches regardless. It's always really great to see. Um, it's always really great to see people who want to push this game to their limits and want to team up together with other people. Multiplayer games are always about teamwork and, again, the strategies when playing a game. Or a game like this. So they should starting the battle shortly. There should be a delay in order for, again, tournament reason. The delay is there for to protect the teams from malicious malpractice.
与君共争，荣耀此生。2025战役超级联赛，铁血烽火重燃寰宇。本次 CBL 区域赛阶段赛事将分为4个阶段：积分赛、小组赛、淘汰赛和总决赛。经过线上积分赛的全球4大赛区的111支战队进行多轮激烈交锋，最终中国大陆赛区、泛亚太赛区、欧洲赛区积分榜前16名战队，以及美洲赛区积分榜前8名的队伍成功晋级。开启新的征程，获得通往小组赛阶段的参赛资格。
Does the clean feed have sound? Oh man, that's gonna be really annoying. I did not predict there be sound over the top.
每个小组将通过 BO3 组内单循环积分赛展开对决。根据赛制规则，各小组积分前2名的战队将锁定淘汰赛席位，向更高荣誉发起冲击。进入残酷的8强单败淘汰赛阶段，从小组赛脱颖而出的8支
very
将依据组内排名开启交叉对阵机制。最终，战神之锤轰然叩响全球战场，中国大陆、泛亚太、欧洲、美洲4大赛区王者集结终极荣誉，以铁血与谋略铸就传奇，巅峰血战中竞逐世界之冠。本届赛事打破传统制度，因万千玩家热血呼声，引入军魂系统，开启一人千面、百团万策的无限战略宇宙。显然战役，本次2025战役超级联赛的总奖金高达6万美元。每个赛区的冠军队伍将获得8000美元，以及2025战役超级联赛专属时装和头像。亚军5000美元，3到4名1000美元。此次奖金池还加入了游戏内的道具奖励。排名前16的队伍将获得不同赛段的称号，排名前4的队伍还将获得不同赛段的限时头像框。与君共争，荣耀此生，传奇由此铸就，荣耀加冕时刻，诚邀你我一同见证巅峰对决，冠军加冕。
Oh, that's very interesting. The clean feed actually shows. I might actually drop that because you can't hear them, and it just looks very weird with me watching shadowing over them like that. Well, that's funny. That's real funny. But let's stop that. Matches haven't started yet. I don't know why.
Oh man, the dev stream actually has better stuff here. Which is really sad. So, oh, my face is in the way, but that says dog. So, I think these were the results from the point matches, and again, as we can see, quite a scary level of consistency. What's really fascinating is how, um, oh, Osushi? Oh man, I forgot the Osushi. Still just waiting. I don't think the match is gonna stop anytime soon. Oh, come on. I switched back and it's just like they show something really cool as well. So as I was talking before, it doesn't tell you what order, but Team AMG bans out Kura Castle, Frank GGG bans out Mongolia. So, oh, probably forgot to mention that Team AMG did pick White Elk Fort, and Frank GGG picked Reginopolis. By the looks of it, we're going to get Frank GGG attacking first on Reginopolis, and of course we can see the bands as well with a very nice visual, although I think the darkening effect here is a bit too much. They need to make it a bit clearer, at least the wording. So, AMG banned out the Lions Royal Crew, Spartan Chosen, and the Shenji Grenadiers. Frank GGG. Oh, and didn't pick a unit to save, so this is a unit that will save them from being banned. Frank GGG bans out the Horongs, Winged Hussars, and the Dagrag Lancers while saving the Sunward's Phalanx. It's quite fascinating how Frank GGE not only bans out cavalry, but also chosen the Sunward's Phalanx to save. Again, it does look like it's funnily enough that like AMG bans out like really strong infantry counters, while Frank GG not only bans out the Harangs, but also two very strong cavalry, while also choosing the best anti-cavalry unit to save. So it'll be very interesting to see how the pick bans play in, and it is also good to note that, since we did come back, the Spartan Chosen ban has been lifted. They are officially allowed to be used in the CBL knockout stage. And we're not going to get to see them. Well, probably not. We'll see if someone actually saves picks them, or whether or not every single team today. Well, we only seen two matches anyway, but
whether or not the teams have decided to just ban out the Sunward Phalanx. I mean, bleh, the Spartan Chosen. Which, spoiler alert, they did. Which is funny. Well, funnily enough. Da, da, da. I wonder what's the problem. What's the hold up? Hmm. Oh, there we go. Much better graphics. Took like 50 million years. Just go full screen outside. I've got like a billion. Not like a billion, but just like a couple of things. Oh, and that's supposed to be full screen, right? Got a little bit of lip happen. Oh well. Okay, that apparently fixed it. And finally, the matches did start, so in about 3 minutes we'll be seeing that kick in. I have nothing on. Where is that sound coming from? Is that the classic feed, isn't it? Whoopsie daisy. Let's cancel that. I could barely play it. I could barely hear that background music. Nevertheless, let's just mute that clown feed. Honestly, should just turn it off for now. Since it does look like it's just showing off the repeats here.
The sovereign's path is indeed a lonely one.
What's your business here?
Oh man, I'm gonna be late. What? And hopefully everything's working out. Oh, going to go down. Okay, now we're on to the live scene on Reginopolis. We got Frank GGT attacking Team AMG, taking a quick look at the unit lineup. Strong units, mostly consistent of the Thunwood Phalanx. We also have a couple of cavalry, lots of Zycalian militia, and some Orochi samurais. For Team AMG, they also have a contingent of paladins plus some ISGs, surprisingly enough. One person, well, two people coming out with the men-at-arms, but still, preference towards the paladins does seem to be high. Still a lot of other specials, including the Silidars and the Iron Reapers. Silidars do seem to be making a very big appearance here in the CBL. I do suspect that they offer a lot as a all-rounder strong unit with high armor, damage resistance, and damage. Iron Reapers are very much the same, but specializing in either the sword or flail, capable of crushing most infantry toe-to-toe. But nevertheless, we are watching two teams battling it out. So their unit selection might come in play. Whether or not it does will be seen shortly. Straight on to the Great Bombards, destroying the right-hand wall breaks. We also have plenty of artilleries out here for the attackers, especially these mortars. These mortars can be quite devastating if you allow them to stay up. Does look like AMG's a bit slow on the pickup. Or Frank GGG doing really good work on those sniping positions, taking out all of the siege on the walls really fast. Probably just that one cauldron on the far side, probably still around. Thanks. Hi, Lich. How you doing? We got some Metellators. It's fun to see these guys around. Not that you see very many of them. I'm doing well. We get to watch 2 rounds of battles. Best of 5. So at least 3 matches. I don't know why I looked over there. I just did. Also wondering if you guys prefer the clean feed over my own camera work, but I'm thinking I'm just going to stick with my own camera work. I think
Open
the similarities
also
for
the artillery, still having the mortars in the back is
camera
helping
works.
a lot,
I mean,
just by the time.
yeah.
The
Wall break
first
does go
towers is
down.
gonna hit any second now, and therefore opening up. the
Strangely
first
enough, 2 heroes
engagement.
did get knocked down. No
They're hiding
deaths
all
so
their
far.
units now,
Does
and the
Trev,
back
but a bit
supply
late.
behind B, so maybe.
Surprisingly, that they do push the siege. I mean, they do push this battering ram, but the gates is barely surviving, and AMG takes a massive maneuver to retreat. Let's see how long it takes Frank GG to realize that AMG has left. I think posturing is a really good way to waste a little bit of time Frank GGG does a bit of scouting. Let's see if they notice that they can just take the A and the B point freely. Does look like the B point is being captured. A point also being captured now by the dual blade, smarting up. I do think that it only takes 20-ish seconds for capture points to be taken. I think there might be a little bit of variation on time depending on the number of people on it, but I could be wrong about that. I do tend to think things. I know that like on field battles, capture points get captured faster if there's more people on it, but I believe it's still 20 seconds for the siege. Taking a quick look, takes a heavy Shenji bombing. That was several loads of bombs right there. Not a nicest spot to treb as we watch these come in. Only one really lands in. 2, 3, and 4, 5. Whoa, no, not even 5. There we go, 5. Counting how many trebs there are, that's still a good number. Only around about 3 of them actually getting caught on terrain. Still. The muskets are being a pretty big menace on Reginopolis, as classically they have been. Normally, we would see a second phase of mortars, either next to the supply point or near the top section. But those muskets easily take it down within a few seconds. Those black powder bombs are on low cooldown. One of the lowest cooldown ultimates before the new classes. I believe the chain dart. Oh, no, sorry, take that back. Obviously, it is the new shield and spear class that has the shortest cooldown ultimates in the game, which is on 10 seconds. Followed by chain dart, then spear. Then pike. As we can see, a hell of a mortar range just coming right out. Smack bang onto the Alchemist. I think it killed the Alchemist. My goodness, the Alchemist just goes flat dead with that smack. Yes, indeed. ISG's out here. Taking a little bit of shots, but no hard hits. Battle of Mortars, man. Artillery is classic to, well, they are realistically a really good answer to about everything in CB. If you can't beat them with your troops, just use artillery. Here on CBL, there is a limit on the number of artilleries and the quality. So we have blue quality artillery, and the attackers can use 2 of them, while the defenders can use 1. The supply point is getting pushed while the Battle of Mortars does continue. Hectic battle here at the stairs. We got Zykeeli Militia hitting that pile. It is mostly phalanxes at the back line as the ISG... Whoa! The Flamers just burning up the front line. There it disappears as the Sunwards get pushed back. Nafan's just absolutely destroyed. A little bit of Zykeeli Militia, a bit of a headache, but when you get the Flamers in, it is hellfire. A little bit of a sacrifice. Did not even notice this move while that battle was going on. Strangely enough, no reaction on the back end. But Frank GGG decides to go in undermanned here. You got half your team coming straight in. Falconetti Gunners, one shot push it positions yet again. Strangely enough, even AMG's taken a very conservative. Yeah, there we go with another load of flamers. Need to get some Zykeeli Militia bombs right onto that. Paladins, what are you doing? Sit in the back here. Get into the battle. Main line of Frank GGG does get crushed, and slowly the tidal wave of Paladins just crushes Frank GGG. A companion cavalry comes roaring through that back section, but gets cleaned up by what seems to be just ISGs. That is very fascinating. Some retreating units. One of the most dangerous things when you have the attackers on the backside. Defenders, if you retreat any of your units, make sure it's not into the jaws of your enemies. Definitely won that fight heavily, indeed. I don't think Frank GG is feeling good after both a loss at the supply point and a fight at the sea point. I'm not sure about that cavalry charge, but it does look like humans. Might be wrong about that. Might have been just Orteliers. Cavalry does not have a lot of space here for the defenders in particular, but we have rows of phalanx. Look at this. 5 phalanxes out on the field. 6, actually. Half-strength ones. 2 half-strength ones. Some good old frontline infantry. We got some paladins and some men-at-arms coming through. Murmialonas and the Orochis make a beachhead in that center line, but gets cleaned up in short order. Breaking down the flanks and the center. Frank GGG is not looking too hot as they come in very, very weak here. Most of the damage is onto the phalanxes, but nevertheless, going in strong. AMG takes a 3rd battle. I'm not sure what this Men-at-Arms is doing out here, but it does look like they also take back the... Or no, they don't. Looks like they wanted to take back that back supply point, but it looks like they're on the hunt for units right now. Alone. Good charge, but for some reason did not hit as hard as I thought they would. ISG is just tanking so much damage right now.
Yes, Commander.
And yet again, barely scraping by as every other unit around them dies. 2 separate cavalry charges. Absolute mayhem for that ISG, but somehow comes out of it with 13 units. Honestly, Lich, I have no idea. Both sides taking heavy losses, but Frank GGG, what are you going to do? You have just a few units left. AMG has a good contingent of units remaining. Enough for probably 1.5 battles, but Frank GGG probably doesn't have enough for even 1 battle left. We also have, very fascinatingly enough, incendiary archers. I thought incendiary archers were still banned, but it looks like the ban has been lifted on incendiary archers as well. Still controlling that back line. Frank GGG wants to kind of draw back the edge a little bit because plenty of time left. 6 minutes to go. Bit of more mortaring. Got plenty of safe spots here. It's kind of one of the tough things, really. I think C point is classically the defend point for the deciding point for Reginopolis for CBL constantly, and you get this kind of mortar battle all the time. It's a really tough fight when you're coming in, really tough fight getting in, and it really relies on teamwork. I think unit matchups did not work out for Frank GGG here. Plenty of paladins in tow for AMG. Probably not as many for Frank GGG. Frank GGG does make a final move. Now going to see a back line push. We got plenty of skirmishing heroes just making a little bit of a headache. Already one of the flamers does get sniped out, and I think more than half of those incendiaries just does get damaged. I mean killed. Let's see if that treb lands in. Mostly hitting wall right now. Really want to be careful. Wu Wei versus Paladin over here. Smacks into the backs of them. Can they clean up fast? Frontline needs to delay as long as they can. Here come some companions. Gets crushed by the advancing Paladins. Phalanxes can barely hold the front line as shields upon shields rock on through. The heroes from Frank GGG are scattering as we speak, as the remainder of their units do gets cleared up, as to be expected for their final assault. Just a few phalanxes versus off against this many shielded units, even though there were like 4 paladins plus some men-at-arms. I didn't count the other units like the Silidars or the Iron Reapers. But the unit matchup does, in the end, did work out in AMG's favor. It was the lack of consideration for the infantry battle, especially here on Constantinopolis. A sally out by AMG for the last 3 minutes as they seek to finally finish off the attackers. One of the only times I would condone spawn killing. But Frank GGG does intend to leave the battle, causing a automatic forfeit. But that is alright, they fought hard, and I definitely do suspect that they're going to have to think of something in the battles to come. Definitely a bad start. The supply battle on the left-hand side did not work out for Frank GGG. Splitting your forces is a gamble, and frankly, it was a terrible idea in hindsight. Maybe if they could have gotten some contingent of AMG, but AMG is intent on sticking together and fighting as a team, so Frank GGG splitting did not really work here on Constantinopolis. And taking a look at the score, it's very apparent that every single member of AMG really fought hard and together, because they did not seem to split or unnecessarily kind of hold back. Frank GGG coming in with a, I would say, okay performance after what we have just witnessed. It was a tough fight. I do think the unit matchup played a lot more than you would think. Looking at a lot of these kind of troop kills, you will notice that the phalanxes are really piling up a lot of those kills. Whoa! AMG cleaned up 55 men-at-arms. That's impressive. That is almost 2 whole units. But as you can see, a lot of phalanxes in the mix there. There's some Orochis coming through. Surprising amount of both paladins and men-at-arms for both sides, actually. Probably didn't actually expect that many for both sides to kill. AMG still comes out on top because they still had a couple of troops remaining, especially those 2 units of paladins. And now, of course, as we saw the progression of the battle, cutting off more than a 2-to-1 at the beginning, losing that supply point, they did take the back point for free. Not sure how that works out in the end. A little bit of an equal trade at the C point. I didn't suspect it was an equal trade, but it did turn out to be an equal trade, which is fascinating. Still, the final battle was a nail in the coffin, unable to drag back that deficit that they created for themselves at the beginning. Realistically, it was just downhill after the second battle. They really needed to drag back this deficit, which was, again, pretty bad start, but not unwinnable. Hopefully, we get to see them do a little bit better on the defense. I think a change of strategy, especially for Warband pick, will be key here. This is also very interesting to see what kind of strategies these teams think of when we watch them fight and then swap sides. As a best of threes, we will see at least one battle on the White Elk Fort. Cavalry is not much of a hindrance here when we're talking about Constantinopolis. Definitely some positions could be... hopefully not a 3-0. I do suspect it's going to be a 3-0, but let's give Frank GGG a little bit of benefit of the doubt. I'm not very much experienced I'm not very knowledgeable for Team AMG and Frank GGG. Their skill levels have relatively been elusive. Mag. Hi, I am number 2. Number 2. There are only 2 viewers, and Lich and Mag are my only 2 viewers. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're enjoying the commentary for the matches, for the CBL match, the APAC CBL 2025 matches between Team AMG and Frank GGG. I am using the observer mode, so I am cameraman for today, wondering whether or not I should use the clean feed. I have opted not to use the clean feed, but hopefully you guys enjoy it regardless. By the looks of the second battle, love you too, Mag. By the looks of the second battle between AMG and FGG, like, when they fought on the C point, surprisingly the kills were equal, but I think the units were not. Can't really say for certain because one of the most difficult thing about CB is trying to predict what units have been used or the value of each unit. Numbers can only tell you so much. The quality and what units are still available is everything. But we only get a little bit of a snapshot by looking at unit kills and unit numbers. But I do suspect that it's a good level of competitiveness. I don't think Frank GGG is outmatched completely here. I do think that AMG just had a very, very strong defensive position. One of the most classic things I think about when sieges in CB kind of play out is how the defenders' advantage play out. A lot of times, the resources given to the attackers are underutilized or unable to be utilized properly because the defenders always fight in positions where it minimizes losses from or threat from those tools that are the artillery and the trebs. The C point in Retinopolis does have a very particular area of threat where it's mainly around the point itself. Now, I want to also bring back attention to kind of these specials. I do think that Frank GGG inability to bring specials up was realistically caused by the skirmishing powers of the muskets. There was surprisingly so many muskets from AMG, and that's not a surprise. We're on Constantinopolis, there's a sea point, a low wall. Honestly, if you're not throwing bombs constantly, waiting for that attack to come in, you're honestly wasting time. You're underutilizing your hero. Maybe you're playing heavy armor class. You don't have access to a range class. That's fine. But if you're a medium or a light armor class, definitely switching over to the musket does seem to be a very important pressuring tool. And no doubt, I think Frank GGG suffered heavily from it. The early mortars and, of course, all of your specials just getting wiped out very quickly. But nevertheless, they did eventually get those Zykeeli militias in, and the flamers of their own didn't last very long. Incendiary archers, still technically an archery unit, but would I classify them as a special? Maybe. I think at this point, their usage will be closer to a special. And one of the harder things is getting the precise area you want targeted. Controlling the incendiary archers will be very important. Maybe I'm just not as entertaining. Probably came in here, looked at me, and said, he was ugly, I'm gonna leave. Or this guy talks too much, I'm gonna leave. You know, that's really funny. One time, I remember one of my viewers actually told me to shut up when they come here to watch the matches with my commentary. I'm not sure if I was the only one actually showcasing the matches or not, but I don't remember. But I just thought it was just really funny. Just really funny. So I do hope you guys like me talking, because that is what I think these things are supposed to be like. But I will save it for a little bit. We are, strangely enough, delayed quite a bit. I'm not sure what's happening, and I'm not sure why there's such big delays between matches. We might run into time slot issues, considering we are supposed to fight up to 5 times. Allocation for time is roughly 2 hours. Battle for the second battle between Team AMG and Frank GGG has started, sorry. And in 3 minutes I'll be able to observe. Hopefully Frank GGG has a plan. Best player? Man, if I'm the best, I would really consider that there is a problem with the population of CB. And I don't consider myself to be the best. Why don't you participate in the tournament? Have you seen me play? Have you actually seen me play? Because honestly, I have participated in the tournament, and we got our ass handed to us. It was not even a joke. So I like to be a spectator, because in hindsight, it's way easier to criticize. If you never saw me play, why do you call me the best player then? I feel like you're tricking me somehow. You're deceiving me. Master manipulator. You're telling me things that maybe I want to hear, but I know it's too good to be true. Thanks, Mag. But I have been commentating for the CBL for a long time. I'm happy that it's back once more, and I much prefer being in the commentator seat. It is way more enjoyable this way. I can't imagine the amount of stress and pressure these, again, these players who play in the CBL must be under immense pressure to to win. And that's maybe a bit too much for me. Not only do you have to be at the best of your game, you also can't afford to lose because it feels like your efforts feel like they go to waste sometimes. But nevertheless, I wish every team who participates in CBL luck, and I hope that they enjoy the experience and don't let themselves be disheartened if they do lose. Not to say that every team will lose. I know that Crusaders, our long-time standing champions, though unfortunately we don't get to see them anymore, have barely lost matches. And it is one of the reasons why I think CB has more potential for growth, especially as these teams lock down in strategy and skill. Anyway, we're back to the live scene here on Reginopolis. Thanks, Moom. I am probably one of the oldest players. I don't think you have very many people as old as me around. I would say less than 10% are from Wrath of Nomads. That's less than 500 players probably. Or maybe less than 1,000 players, depending on if you think there's around about 10,000 people who still log into CB. But unfortunately, I haven't actually reached the 10k mark. I'm probably sitting in the 7k plus. If I really wanted to push it for, levels, I would have used more of my XP things. Anyway, I did get to take a quick look at the units, and for sure, Frank GGG has chosen the Mighty Paladin. A lot of them, in fact. And I'm not surprised. One thing is very apparent is the unit matchup in CB. Very important and crucial when it comes to CBL is how your units match up. Now, outnumbering them in total numbers of paladins and men-at-arms, or matching them, will go a long way. We still got a few cavalry, some specialty picks as well. Not as many Dykelian militia as before.
First blood.
I'm sorry? Somehow snipes out a hero? What happened there? I did not see what happened. AMG? This hero skirmish is quite fascinating. Climbing the walls. Little bit of a battle. Might catch this poleaxe. Can't see into this very well. Boom. Seeing the power of the mole whacking right. Just goes straight back up. Winnie here might die from. Whoa! Nice! Nice roll right onto the ladder. Looking at that ladder tech there, that was a really good roll. Always a bit of fun with the heroes fighting against each other. Now, we are 20 seconds ahead. Same as position as before. Does look like attackers have absolute advantage when it comes to starting artillery. AMG kind of using their heroes to scare off the others. This could end very badly. Will this polearm die? We got a trip here on the top of the stairs. Might hit terrain. One hits terrain. One goes high. Barely hits anything though. Mostly hits terrain here. A point and B point being captured. Are they taking a secondary defensive line? I've never seen a defense on the supply point like this. It's a wonder what AMG will do against a defense like this. I suspect that they might be looking to switch it to the supply point. I mean, the left-hand supply point instead of the A-side supply point. Bit of a mortaring and high trips. Not sure about that trip. But the mortars are coming through. Look at those hits. Definitely thinking these units are worse for wear. Over half of those paladins get taken out, and I'm thinking there goes some more phalanxes. Every single hit probably taking out a couple more each time. It would be super foolish for Frank GGG to take the offensive now, especially with weakened units. Probably best just to delay for time, allowing them to take hits. But you have 13 minutes to make up for, and 20 more artilleries. Unfortunately, unprepared for the assault. Here we start off ISGs at the front, paladins and men-at-arms coming through. Smack bang, trying to get onto that phalanx, slowly retreating out. Companions come through, but unfortunately the dense pile is just too much for them. A good old cavalry charge would be way better than the spear storm pound by the companions. Companions are fairly strong. Another retreat from Frank GGG. Have seen this kind of defense before, but it's going to be a wonder. Right onto those Metallators. Didn't finish them. Two of them survived somehow. Turn it around. AMG does lose their hero. Could challenge these Wu Wei. Doesn't look like they want to, though. 2 units of paladins could be good. These units are not anti-cavalry, but these paladins should be a little bit difficult to take out. In fact, the paladins do most of the work as they crush the companions. AMG is not giving up, though. His flank makes big differences as they take out very key units here. Metallators and half of the Zykeelian militia. Right now, AMG is scoping out the place. I don't think it's going to be easy. The last time I saw this kind of defense was extraordinary. I don't think I don't think that there is two ways to get into this back section. Two very difficult ways. Treb's not even a threat when you're against these walls. And coming through these choke is a hard turn either side. Not an easy push by any means. A second set of mortaring does begin. Remains safe. Treb straight onto that tower. Nice hit. I'm not sure how you even got a Treb like that. But the mortars are closing in on positions. I think someone's aiming for this pile here. Boom! Back of the ISGs. ISGs have plenty of health, but you don't want to get hit too many times. Using up those resources, gaining every advantage they can get. Very little in terms of fighting so far. But if we'll be honest, AMG has more units available. I think it's 5-1 right now. Interesting Culverin. Sometimes he'll hit the terrain, but it looks like they got a clear shot through. Not bad. Frank GGG snipes someone. Fortunately, I don't know where they're at. Alchemist probably healing up healing up so much damage right now. Although this Culverin is only blue, a headshot will still kill most units. Men-at-Arms are probably one of the worst targets to hit. They have their own set of healing, but two mortars comes down simultaneously and just smacks 5 Men-at-Arms. Do mind, in order to get that healing, they need to be in cover commando mode. Very strange. Very strange why this guy's not having them in cover commando mode. This area also very dangerous. I think mortars are easier to hit on that location. ISG's taken a pounding. I can't imagine how much damage they've taken from artillery right now. Oh, very interesting position for the cannon. I'm wondering whether or not they have clear shots here. Where are you shooting? Where's the clear shot? High up onto the top of the stairs. Interesting. I think a lot of the artillery placements is kind of on the fly here. A little bit of damage on all of these units. A small advantage, but could be huge when push comes to shove. Again, a little bit of an edge can cascade into a massive problem. About to lose. Frank GGG does take out the Culverin, but I think it's out of ammo anyway. Where are you shooting? Down onto the Iron Reapers. Tanks the shot though, even from behind. Are those Shenji Grenadiers or what? I did not see Shenjis on the field, but that ISG took 2 heavy shots. Oh, interesting Treb. I don't even think this one will land properly. Oh, one came in from the side. Might get 2 more through. 4 in total made it through. Probably it was just far enough to get that angle in. Constantinopolis is one of the longer maps that... one of the longer maps in CB. And we still surprisingly have 9 minutes to go. I think we've already clocked in 15 minutes. I believe the total time for this map is 24 or not. I think it's 24. 24 minutes. About as long as Angolia. Actually, Angolia is slightly longer. I think it's at 28 or 26 the last time I checked. I know they're raring up to fight, but I'll be honest, doesn't look like they're ready just yet. Someone's about to say go. Here comes a speed boost by the longsword. That is hilarious. What a bait. Goes in for a different section. Hard push towards the strong side. Flamers burning down that front line. Just 3 of them, but should be deadly enough to full on stop them. A second flip. We got some guys gonna come through the back section. That Wu Wei wanted to flank, but it doesn't look like it was going to be successful. Created a bit of space here. We got a sandwich on our... Well, we got a sandwich coming through. We got the short sword going for the back line. That front section still going strong. ISG's tough, man. Tough as nails. Supply point getting interrupted is key. Right now, clean up crew for Frank GTG needs to finish them off before respawn happens. One trip does make it through. ISGs and Paladins will shore up that hole. Murmialonas takes a turn for the worse, actually. Murmialonas just crashes right into that front line. I don't think these remaining troops, these phalanx definitely not holding. As a swarm of troops literally just respawn in and crushes the defense. One of the fastest respawn tactics I've ever seen. Very nice interruption on that supply point. One of, if the not cleanest push I've seen through here against pretty much equal teams. I don't think AMG would have been able to win that area without a cycle. Which does mean that they're actually still even. Probably a little bit dragging back a little bit for Frank GTG there. Six minutes to go though, and definitely indeed, Siphonarioids. Did I call them Nafan guards? I honestly really wish they stuck with the name. I mean, they have different names for the like my games decided to have different names from the Frontier version, so I blame them for this. But I just think it's annoying for me who has to go through this dual name scenario. Now, it's very rare you get to see a respawn tactic like that, and one of the closer positions indeed. The final remaining artillery is being used for both sides. I didn't even count how many artillery were left, but we have 2 more trebs left. Some come straight on to the Rattan Marksman. Lots of shields around. It's going to see very little effect by the range straight off the bat. Surprisingly, the humans make their way all the way through. Not sure how much damage they dealt. Oh, the scrap is intense as shield bashes against shield. Strong side here, lots of phalanx and shields. But the center line getting broken apart. Doesn't look good for Frank GGG. Really needs to get some more shield to the front line. But outnumbered and getting outnumbered, cascading into a losing situation. Unable to shore up anything. Pretty bad position as the entire base point get completely completely swarmed by AMG here. Still got units left over. Hard to say what units needs to come out in order to change this position. I think AMG winning that outright was just way too fierce. They even go down the stairs as they're capping that point, pushing them into a more and more desperate situation. Despite their efforts, Frank GGG does take another L. 2-0 for AMG so far. Might finish this up with a attack on White Elk Fort. Whether or not Frank GGG can hold a defense on White Elk Fort is another question. You see the scores looking pretty scarce, in fact, on the Frank GGG side. Only one person really dragging up that unit kill score. I think Frank GGG did really well trying to hold that position. Unfortunately, AMG had other plans. Hi, Casey boy, and I'm doing well. What about you? What countries are part of the APAC? Basically, anyone who plays on the Asia servers. So it honestly goes to reason that most of them are either Chinese, Taiwanese. I don't think there's very many Filipinos. I know that there is a Korean and a Japanese team. But I don't think anyone from India plays on this side. As much as I would love for there to be an Australian team, I don't think there is an Australian team. If anything, it is normally a mixed hybrid team. But basically, most of the countries in the Oceania, Oceania, the Oceanic region. I'm just going to call it the Oceanic region. I don't know how to say the IA version of that. Yeah, I don't know how you say that. How do you say that?
Oceania.
Is it Oceania? That's terrible. I like Oceanic. Ocean Oceania. It's Oceania, which is hurts my brain.
Don't hit like a weakling.
No. It's not like Narnia because you have it's not like Narnia because you have like it's the N that screws me up, and it's Oceania. Oceania, not Oceania. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Keep trying. I just literally listened to the thing. It's Oceania. Not. I mean, thank you for your input and thank you for trying, but oh she. Huh? Yeah. Why do you add a Y? How do you?
You look tired. Leave is so down your neck.
How are you guys enjoying today? We got. I mean, it's an afternoon battle. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back to sleep after this, or whether or not I'll just stay awake. Also, which teams are you rooting for? I have no doubt that Bless of God is going to have probably a 3-0. I'm thinking AMG is going to probably have a 3-0 against Rank GGG. But I don't know. Something's telling me that Frank GGG, yeah, they have the potential. They have the potential to fight evenly against AMG. I don't believe that they're going to let this be a simple 3-0. I honestly don't believe that. But we'll see, we'll see. We got another set of siege battles before we get down to the tiebreaker. Frank GGG needs to win both of the battles on White Elk Fort, and this is AMG's chosen map, by the way. That's going to be pretty tough. Pretty tough. You'd think that teams choosing maps, the one that they're attacking would be their preferred attack and defense option. But you never know. Sometimes there's teams that are better at attacking and better at defending sometimes. So what ends up happening is that they they win all of their attacks or something, but like lose all of their defenses. And it happens, well, I mean, like, yeah. And you go down to a tiebreaker. But in this case, AMG winning both their defense and attack puts a lot of pressure on Frank GGG. It is still full doctrines, so doctrines are still available for the CBL. Casey boy, I'll be honest with you, I disagree that doctrines should be allowed in the CBL. I think doctrines are one of, if is the most unbalanced part of CB. Totally, thank you. I don't doubt that plenty of tournament players have requested this, and maybe I'm in the minority, and definitely I'm not playing these tournaments, but as a person with my own opinion, I much prefer the base gameplay, and the most I will accept is veterancy. I think veterancy and hero attributes are as much customization that should be allowable, at least at a base level. It's very difficult to see doctrines on the battlefield, and it's one of the key things I think made the early kind of like point matches really terrible, because I think some teams were either didn't doctrine out all of their units that they were going to play, or the balance shifted so heavily because of the short notice for doctrines that people didn't know what units were strong. And one of the big surprises in the like point section, the point scoring part of the tournament was Silidars came in super hard. Like everyone was using Silidars. Eventually, we do have the current lineup we see here, where it's a bit of mix of the Sunward's Phalanx with the Paladins and men-at-arms. But my goodness, if you, I did fairly few of the early points, point scoring matches, and there was a lot of variety of units just coming in here and there. But nevertheless, this is the tournament, and those are the rules, so I'm going to have to live with them. I'll give you as much information as I possibly can if I remember to, and maybe if we get time throughout the battle, we'll take a look at some of the doctrine selections. I don't think doctrines are not part of balance. I definitely do think that they have a massive impact, but the imbalances between units only skyrocket as doctrines are introduced. I definitely do think cavalry are very much affected more so than other units, but definitely there are doctrines that can be a little bit problematic in my eyes. Surprisingly enough, we did see a patch for CB on the Thursday, and we haven't seen a lot of the Britans, which I was expecting a little bit. Oh, for sure. Changes in the tournament rules, even just a day, is too short a notice. Unfortunately, this is just how this current tournament is being run, and whether we like it or not is moot. The decision has been made. This is how it's going to play out. We'll see how these teams adapt. And it can go into kind of teams' adaptability. I definitely don't think that these teams are going to be completely blindsided. How I understand units and how this game plays out, there is a subtle understanding on any changes that might happen on CB affect the game. And so how these teams adapt is also going to become key if there are changes throughout the CB. And we did get that balance change. I'm still looking. The Wuxing Pikemen, the Wuxing Pikemen didn't come in. I'm surprised. The Rattans changes. The Rattan Pikemen, the Rattan round shields. Like, underestimate the round shields, man. Where are those units? Are teams even thinking about the changes? My question is if they can take advantage of them. Hello, long-time noob. How are you doing? Welcome to the my commentary for the APAC CBL right now. I underestimated some of the utility that the round shields offer that is better than the pikemen. It is honestly a bit scary how I dismissed the round shields so much in comparison to the Rattan pikemen. This is the APAC server, otherwise known as the Asia servers. So Lotus Ash Sea, Dragon Island, Jade Rock Creek. I forget the new servers. I don't know how to say the newest server, but it's like Asia 6 at this point. So you must have an account on the Asia servers, and you must designate your main account before playing in these CBLs. Oh, the Rattan round shields, whether or not they were worth it or not, is a bit of a hard question. I would say it's more or less about leadership and more about their actual performance. The poison damage, 100%. Poison damage is in the thousands if you put it with the Rattan Poison Doctrine. Anyway, we're here on White Elk Fort. We got AMG attacking FGGG, and we see plenty of Sunwitz Phalanx and the Paladins with Men-at-Arms. Unfortunately, AMG also going in with way more shield units, way more infantry units, less phalanx. I'm wondering whether or not FGG realizes that there are other options. The Sunwoods Phalanx, as strong as a unit they are, they're not good infantry units. What I mean by that, they're not good anti-infantry unit. They are the best anti-cavalry unit in the game, but they're not as good against infantry. And with an infantry heavy lineup like AMG's, I'm thinking FGGG is going to take another L in direct confrontation. They really need to get advantages here. But AMG is intent on fighting together. We'll see if they're going to do a little bit something different here on White Elk Fort. Starting off right off the bat, we do get some trebs right onto those ballistas. I hate those ballistas myself, but I would not treb them constantly. Thank you, Lich. And long-time noob, I'll be honest, I'm not particularly sure which servers these teams are from. Information about these teams are very nominal. You more or less need to know the people on the team, or, well, I mean, again, I have not had the opportunity or done any of the data collection myself about these teams. I can only make some conjectures. I do suspect that the AMG team is mostly Korean. And Frank GGG could possibly be Japanese here. Front gate does get broken down. Frank GGG abandons the A point. AMG gets the siege, middle siege tower up on the wall. Does see that Frank GGG has abandoned point. Honestly, even at the beginning stages of the match, there is potential in posturing. I'll be honest, I was actually kind of terrified how fast those companions were coming through. They even had the sprint doctrine on them. I'll be honest, cavalry has gotten a little bit too fast for my liking. They're running at speeds unheard of. I don't even think the server registers sometimes. They're running so fast that their hitbox actually causes a gap. But it could just be a hit registration problem. I know that like some people having that issue just in general. Now, we did get to see a couple of trebs come in. Whether or not they did any damage is another question. Frank GGG giving up the... Oh, we did see Men-at-Arms take a big fat 8-unit deaths. Murmilones takes 3. Every small advantage will eventually bite them in the ass. You gotta make up that difference. One of the toughest things is always numbers. What's the problem, Casey? Quick. Hey, Frank GGG decided to go for a base defense. The question is just like, how is AMG gonna respond? Classic mortaring. I really wish there was a button to turn off these trees. If we ever play on White Elk Fort again, and I'm getting view blocked by these trees, I'ma be mad. Smack bang right in the middle. 9 units die. Man, that mortar was painful. Boom! Nice shots. Fortunately, the loss there was... I think it's going to be critical. Not to mention the amount of damage. Surprisingly... Frank GGG doesn't want to take this back section. I would have taken that fight. Honestly, there's very few units here. Though, the unit matchup's probably not great. Whoa, what's happening here? We have humans in the back line. Not sure where they went. I don't think they went for anything here. Doesn't look like anything died. Oh my goodness. Big hit onto those phalanxes. Must be worse for wear. I'd definitely swap out a unit. Frank GG goes on the offensive. Goes for a smack. Boom! Back section of those men-at-arms just eats it hard. Here comes Murmillones to close up that back section. But unfortunately, comes in for a second swing. Men-at-arms and paladins both eat it. Come on, can you rotate and do another charge? Does look like most of those units are dead. Cavalry charges through. Murmillones is being very difficult to kill. Unfortunately, a base charge from human unit just gets stopped by a phalanx. Just a few phalanxes, by the way. I'm gonna call that an L for Frank GGG. Though it was a good idea rotating in those Yan Yudals. Look at them. They're not even using their special doctrine. That special doctrine is way more powerful than you would think it'd be. But the toughness doctrine, definitely one of the most strongest doctrines. Also very biased as it goes for most of the Chinese seasons. You'll see them on things like the Wu Wei as well. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like doctrines. It's just like their accessibility is really important, because units that don't have equivalency do not have that advantage. Oh man, threading the needle, trying to get that through that thing. I'm surprised this has not been destroyed. It should not take that many culverin shots to destroy this thing. A second round of mortarings. Slowly pushing Frank GGG further and further away. Frank GGG takes the defensive stance, and actually really good usage of the shield walls to create that screen protecting the artillery as they creep closer, gaining more and more space. Oh man, no protection here. Maybe because they got counterfire? Frank GGG, don't count them out just yet. We've got plenty of troops of both sides, but in the position of right now, it's looking worse for wears. Frank GGG will need to think quick. Boom! Oh, no. Never mind. Treb goes wide. Treb goes wide. Are you going to walk back into that Treb? Paladin takes several shots to the back and face. My goodness, those guys must be wounded. I would just retreat them at this point. Better off getting a new unit and swapping out. We got 3 artilleries left for AMG, and they're slowly creeping up with the shield wall. Look at this discipline. Absolutely taking their advantage to the max. No way to respond from Frank GGG. Losing units like crazy as the threat of getting this point increases. Frank GGG has lost a significant amount to this mortaring, and ground in particular. Double shield wall. Look at this positioning. Great area control immediately. We're going to have a two-pronged fight. Trying to get around that shield wall. Shield wall flips. Now it's going to be about allocation. Flamers for Frank GGG. Burns that center section. Unfortunately, gets squeezed real fast. Frank GGG on both sides gets squeezed. What happened? A complete collapse of the line? Frank GGG just eviscerated. Oh my goodness.
A walk in the park.
That tree is enormous. We also have an interruption on the supply point, and we see a victory for AMG, winning their attack, which closes out the battle between AMG versus Frank GGG. It is tough to fight in these battles, and I don't doubt that Frank GGG was feeling the pressure. AMG, I commend you. Absolutely not rushing it. You had plenty of time cementing your absolute superiority onto that point, onto that base point. I loved the shield walls. Been a really long time since we saw formation movement like that, and I'm gonna be honest, despite the short battle of the nature, it was definitely set up for your favor. Frank GGG needed better rotation. They needed more concentration on winning one side of the battle in order to even out. Really strong performance from AMG for the final battle. I think Frank GGG, you got a lot of work for you, but unfortunately you have been knocked out for this CBL. Maybe, and hopefully we get to see you next time around, and congratulations for making it to the knockout round, regardless. And I hope we get to see AMG push further, and we get to see more of their cool formation tactics. But just for a finish up, I'm just going to slowly scroll, well, click through all of these scores, as we can see kind of how the performance of these CBL players work out. Very unfortunate. I definitely suspect that this is one of the shields, or maybe not. Oh, very surprising. Not a single kill coming out from the Nodachi here. A single battle to decide the final. Well, that concludes the battle. We will be back for Bless of God versus Nobility. And just a real quick kind of info dump. Bless of God bans out White Elk Fort, picks Harbor City. Nobility bans Heilong Fjord, picks Reginopolis. The unit pick ban, BOD bans out the Daggerak Lancers, Spartan Chosen, and Harangs, all meta units. Picks the Zycilian Militia to safe pick. Nobility bans out the Shenji Grenadiers, skip their second ban, bans out Winged Hussars, and picks Martelators, otherwise known as the Falconetti Gunners. So, I'll probably repeat that when we come back, but our next battle will be in around about 30 minutes. So I'll see you guys then. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the commentary, and I definitely hope you guys have enjoyed so far. I'll just catch you guys in about 30 minutes. See you then.
What's your business here?
Know that you can use the computer to strengthen your units or gain access to others. Know that you can use
secure people.
Know that you use the computer to strengthen your units or gain access to others.
war or frost could ever bend my will.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Asuka here, coming back for the Bless of God versus Nobility matches. They did start a little bit early, and in 3 minutes we'll be watching the watching through spectator mode. But for those of you joining us just now, we have the pick bans for Bless of God and Nobility. Bless of God bans the White Elk Fort, picking the Harbor City. Nobility banning the Hailong Fjord and picking the Constantinopolis. Bless of God bans out the Daggerak Lancers, Spartan Chosen, and the Harangs, picking the Zagili Militias to save. Nobility bans Shenji Grenadiers, skips their second ban, and chooses Winged Hussars. Metalator is their safe pick, and very interestingly enough, I have mixed up the names a little bit. So, Nobility picked Reginopolis. Again, this sheet telling me names that I'm familiar with. And they picked the Falconetti Gunners for their safe pick. This is what I meant to say. But yeah, those are the pick bans. By the looks of it, we will have Nobility... sorry, switch that around. We'll have Bless of God attacking first on Harbor City. So very shortly we should get that up. I'm expecting Bless of God to win 3-0, but let's see if Nobility's got a plan up their sleeve. I know that CBL, it's been a long time since CBL has come along, and I do suspect that there's going to be a couple of one-sided battles. But as we get closer and closer to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final, I think we're in the quarterfinals right now, actually. Yeah, this is where they quarter them. Then the semi-finals will get the last two. I don't think there's a losers bracket this time around, which is good. I don't really like a losers bracket. The losers bracket, you could use it to just decide who's second place in the event, who decides second place. But like, yeah, like I feel like most of the time that feels unnecessary. Anyway, let's see. Harbor City. Very classic CBL map. Plenty of battles has been fought on Harbor City. And it is a very old map. Spacious as well. I wouldn't say it's fully cavalry, but cavalry has been naturally favored.
Hello and
on...
welcome back. So we go for the first round.
Sorry about that. I was checking on the dev stream. Anyway, we have the unit selections. Now, interestingly enough, not as much cavalry as I was expecting. Sunward's Phalanx is also available, but we're only seeing around about 4 coming out from Nobility's side, 4 coming out from Nobility. We have plenty of Orochi Samurais. Again, not terrible pick. They are a quite strong tier 5 ever since their buff. We also see a couple of paladins and men-at-arms. We still have the important Zycalian militia out on the front here. No flamers for BOD, so I'm wondering will that come into play. But Nobility does come in with a couple of flamers, so we'll see whether or not flamers or Zycalian militia is going to win out. I mean, it's always been proven that flamers are not are massively threatened by Zycalian militia due to their longer range and wider area of effect. That burning ground can essentially cause Oh, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Zykelin militias and the Siphonatioids, they have a mechanic where if they get set on fire and die, they explode, causing friendly fire damage to everyone around them. Now, I cannot remember for the life of me whether or not that also still affects enemies. But regardless, you don't want your flamers exploding inside your lines. That damage is true damage, and I'll be honest, it is very painful. Because I've done it before, and I've accidentally done it to someone else. Ooh. Sacrifices his companions. Gets out of there. Nice pickup from Nobility. Every unit is very important. I don't think that they lost very many. I think the... Oh, yep. The Orochi Samurais took the brunt of it there. Starting off strong with a couple of destructions. Destroying these siege towers. Whoop. Will that Culverin get destroyed before this last siege tower gets destroyed? Each siege tower can earn you up to about 2 minutes of time. Takes just under a minute to push a siege tower, 30 seconds for spawning. Getting your units in position as well. All of its time. Sally out from the front gates. I'm looking at it and I did not suspect it. Cavalry bursts out. First section of siege towers. Plenty of companions out on the field. We also got some Kev tools. Nobility swiping that Paladin, somehow still surviving. There we go with the Yanyu Dao. Something harder hitting against those shield units. BOD, you are scattered to the wind right now. But here on the left-hand side, we do see a contingent forming up, getting ready to counterattack. Treb down. Big hits comes onto the Kev Tools. Kev Tools losing quite a few units. Very fascinating choice as well. Companions does not catch the tail end. Very surprising. Flips around. This probably an even trade there. I'm not sure why the Treb there at the front gate. We still have cavalry making headway, keeping that keeping the back line in fear right now. Most of the cavalry did get cleaned up, but I would not count out these few units. Getting poked by a longbow. Each shot is fairly heavy. BOD wants to push these siege towers, but they're getting threatened heavily here. Cavalry might be able to make it back in. We'll see, we'll see. We also see some Orochis, surprisingly. Companions are a nice screen. Whoa! Nobility, what have you done? Tries to get the... Yep, that's gonna cause a headache. Heroes are gonna go straight onto those. Here comes... Oh, maybe a bit early. Oh! Goes with the swipe! Does work out. Oh no. Gets caught by the spears. Well, that was a pike and a spear. For BOD, nice cleanup there. Sacrifice of the humans, though. Still, nevertheless, even in a desperate situation, nice pickup. I think, realistically, should not have swapped units. The retreat was called. But let's take a little bit of a recap. Oop, wrong button. Okay. So we're looking at pretty heavy losses just for a few pickups. And looks good for Nobility for the defense. Nobility does not seem to go to defend the wall, even after sacrificing a few cavalry. I think defending the wall would have been a very smart choice after sallying out your cavalry. Focusing on some key infantry fighting units would have been also 100% a game changer. But nevertheless, still plenty of opportunity. We have a whole of Harbor City to fight. Now, classic positions being taken up. This first line of defense will normally get mortared out. Good waste of mortars from classic positions. Let's see how fast Nobility can zone in onto that position. Oh, looking to take the supply point. I think Nobility is smart enough to know that they have achieved their goal. Couple of artillery being used, moving back to the secondary line. I would call it like secondary position, just out of the range of the mortars from the wall, but not enough to go to the last line of defense. This gives them a lot of room to work with. This maze-like street also provides ample opportunity for flanking positions. Good setup for defenses here. Question is how this side responds. Whoa! Look at that throw! Throw from the other side of the building. And I can't get my Outriders to do that. How the heck does he get his Outriders to do that? I can't even get them to throw at units within their range. And you're doing this kind of stuff? Oh, this might be a bit scary. Nobility can't afford to lose heroes here. One goes down. The second one almost went down. But you gotta hold strong. Those Outriders definitely causing some headaches. Really love the skirmishing potential and love seeing them out on the field. But this is some kind of crazy ass throws. Not the first time I've seen something like this, but definitely something that needs to be reminded constantly. Units have opportunities and quirks that could definitely just surprise you. Ikoma showing me things that I did not expect to happen. BOD takes a move towards the supply point. Will we get to see a fight in probably one of the worst positions for the defenders? I say one of the worst positions. This is a T-junction. A double T-junction for Nobility if they were to defend that section. Very difficult to fight like that. My goodness, the throws coming in. What kind of doctrines do you have on those monsters? Oh, wrong side. Oh, was it? Not wrong side. I was on the right side, actually. Well, they're getting straight onto the base point here. Oh! A two-pronged attack. This either goes really badly or really well. Whoa! Delayed on the front line here. This could be really good for Nobility. This is going to be a squeeze. Question is whether or not the back line or the front line is going to make it up. No one here on the front line, but the back line gets completely cleaned up in a few seconds. Let's see if they flip around. Most of their rear line gets taken out. Flamers at the front burning through that rear section really quickly. But finally, the fighting infantry gets there on the front. Looks good for BOD. BOD pushing through. Got some cavalry in spades. And I definitely do think Nobility has going to lose here. Absolute tragedy.
Child's play.
Absolute tragedy. Nobility. That split was catastrophic in the end. That frontline infantry fight was on the rear line. We got Silladars, Iron Reapers, and Orochis all beating down your infantry fights. That cavalry was just the clinch.
Summons you.
Really pushing in that knife. Can you get to the point? We got Phalanx here just absolutely butcher that companion that's trying to get through. Hero does make it to the wall, sacrifices everything just to send them through. Yan Yidal's take a nice swing at the flanks here, but nevertheless just swarms of defenders just trying to get to that point, pushing off the attackers, but the attackers coming in from the side, picking up units after unit. And a little bit of calm now as the defenders reestablish defense of their base point. Attackers have decided to regroup. A very intense fight. Losses, heavy losses for both sides. I think this next battle will be the decider whether or not Nobility can hold the defense or whether or not Nobility can hold the defense or Bless of God can take it. Take the city. It's tough to say which side is the stronger side. I think this is going to be a high-level strategy sort of situation. Sacrifice of a couple of leftover paladins, I believe. We also have the remaining mortars coming in. It's not that the push was late from Nobility. It's, Lich, what happened there was, Bless of God delayed the battle with, the base defense from Nobility long enough for them to crush the rear lines. Although, the rear lines are, the reversed front line of, Bless of God did get crushed. The remaining forces from their primary, from the rear engagement worked out really, really, really well. Alright, right now, this is going to be a scary situation. Zychelian Militia throwing up a storm here. I think that just burnt up the entirety of those Incendiary Archers. Murmuriolones takes a big chunk out of that front line. Gets locked up by a stun-on brace here. Rear line also looks really good for BOD. I think those Zychelian Militia absolutely chugged out that dense pile. The only leg they have to stand on is just a Phalanx and Paladin right now. Paladin's going to get completely surrounded and easily cleaned up. The mass of troops is just too overwhelming. Nobility once more gets cleaned up. Probably a little bit of a split. Still, a very exciting battle for both. I'm gonna put it hands down that Nobility definitely showing some showing some resilience when it comes to their adaptability. Unfortunately, just in the upfront battle, cannot compare to Bless of God. Matchups not looking great for them. They started off well with a bit of a skirmish at the beginning, delaying those siege towers. Unfortunately, the primary battle for the base point, a split defense option, really, really dependent on discipline and timing. In this case, BOD sacrifices a couple of their units, slows down that base defense. Unfortunately, really, really chomped into that rear attack hard. Allocation of forces just did not work out for Nobility. They couldn't get the base defenders onto their backline fast enough. And so you ended up in a situation where most of BOD beats up half your team, and then the others and then flip around to beat the other side. So it's a kind of divide and conquer situation, but it was it was Nobility that ended up dividing their forces. So, whew, really tough call there, and I'm not sure if something like that would work out if they were to try it again. But I'm gonna just hand it to BOD, sticking strong, pushing through, really winning those fights head on. Key units as well. Those Zychelian militia did burn up that really dense pile of infantry. Always watch out for those specials. As low damage as those Zychelian militia do pump out, because a lot of the higher tier units does have fire resistance or high levels of health, it's a bit of damage and a lot of units getting hit. So that can always cause your entire army to weaken rapidly. Nevertheless, we're on to the next battle. Hopefully, we get to see what kind of attack Nobility has in store on Harbor City. BOD, I expect something similar of a defense strategy in the second half, holding off or wasting a little bit of those mortars as we get a little bit closer to the base point. But I'm wondering whether or not we get more sally out with the cavalry. Harbor City is again a very classic CBL map and very classic cavalry favored map. You got a lot of open space, especially on the outside where attackers do not have very many places to hide. Inside the city as well, plenty of space, lots of flanking opportunities. I'm gonna take a breather as I take a sip of water here. Alright, we should be getting the next battle shortly. Not sure what the holdup is. Does look like every single one's in the battle.
I'm no good.
Let me see what you're capable of.
I have nothing. Your soul, the world. I'm no good. But I am fine. You look tired. Leave the song come in.
Nope, they started the battle, and I'm busy chatting on Discord right now. But anyway, still gotta wait that 3 minutes, so so I haven't missed anything, luckily. The second battle between Bless of God and Nobility. We'll have Nobility attacking Harbor City. BOD winning their first attack. Let's see if they win their defense. Nobility, you got style. I definitely like your cavalry sally out, and I definitely like the. I love the timing of it. Lots of pressure. Picked up some good units. In fact, now, let's see. Got lots of opportunity and a lot of freedom to do a lot of things on Harbor City.
Come, let me see what you're capable of.
Know that you can use Sigma to strengthen your
see what you're capable of.
By loyalty, I come and bow before banner. Though young and untested, my resolve stands
Know that you
firm.
can use Secure to
No
strengthen
sword
your
hath
units,
lost
or
its
gain
edge
access to
in my
others.
It has started. There's a 3-minute delay for observer mode. So we're just waiting, and sometimes the minutes tick on really slowly, and it also agitates me sometimes because I panic because it doesn't refresh automatically. I actually have to click on the match or like
What's your
refresh
business here?
refresh my selection just in case that observer button pops up. Honestly, for a UI thing, it would be really good if they had like a persistent observer button and it had a timer on it. That would be really cool. That would be really cool.
Know that you can use Secure to strengthen your units, or gain access to others.
By loyalty.
On to the live scene. Surprisingly, BOD decides to come out with a lot of humans. Humans, lots of humans. It's quite quite a little bit of a turnaround. We saw Nobility come out with cavalry, lowers the cavalry, still got the Kev tools. I don't think the Kev tools are any good. I like them, but maybe a little bit overestimated in terms of usability. Definitely really great for skirmishing. Got that little bit of range, got that little bit of melee. But in the grand scheme of things, when push comes to shove, they're not that strong. Not that strong. Not that strong. Starting off immediately, Trebs out the couple of the artilleries. They are cannons. It's a bit difficult to hit artilleries here on Harbour City. Good old culverins are much more accurate, focusing the siege towers with the natural, getting as much damage as possible. Let's see if they sacrifice any of their own artillery to take them down. Does look like we got some metallic doors over the wall. One of the most... I mean, it is a common strategy, nevertheless. Got some nice range on them. Not to mention the arc is high enough to go over the wall. Middle siege tower does go down. Right-hand siege tower and left-hand siege tower, both on critical amount of health, should go down very shortly. Oh, front gate's open. We got something coming through here? No, no, we do not. But we have paladins out on the front. Definitely would have probably sniped it with something. Nice old cavalry charge down the center would have been a very, very nice pickup. Destroys the front gate. Kev tools. Ooh. Very unfortunate trying to aim. Whoa! Companions does go for the Kev tools. Kev tool manages to burn a couple of them. Oh, might have been not too bad, in fact. Whoa! What is this contingent in the backline? Nobility's got some ballistas and mortars. Nothing more terrifying than a ballista shooting your units. Hey, but Musket comes in with a good old black powder bomb, just flat out just eliminating that ballista. Probably will get a second one. Yep, there we go. Second ballista goes down. Companions still rocking around. Could just sacrifice them on just for a small pickup if you find anything. Looks like he is looking. Siege Towers does make it to the wall. Oh, just leave the Kev tool there. Alrighty. A point is being captured by Nobility. Did use 6 trebs, 7 artilleries. Very fascinating. That BOD managed to pull off that many resources despite only losing the wall. Plenty of ground, could lose plenty of artillery in order to gain that ground for Nobility. And when it comes to the fight, BOD's probably still got the leg up on Nobility. It's going to be tough for them, I think, but we'll see what they do. Prepping for the fight is always just as important as the fight itself. Could weaken the enemy heavily before engaging. With a couple of artillery, some good shots, or killing off a few units. Got a couple of heroes here at the gate. I'm not sure what they're doing. What are they sniping out? Some long shots with the Matelators. Really good positioning, as they might manage to actually hit a couple of these units. They actually did. Didn't take off any units, but a bit of damage is never bad. Kills are way more efficient. Well, kills are way more indicative of performance, though. Hard to tell how much damage a unit has taken, but still, they have 100% of their damage potential still. Only a few mortars. Nobility did really well to force BOD a retreat here. I'm sorry, Lion's Roar crew rocking up. That's going to be very deadly. I think Nobility would definitely wish to keep these guys on lockdown. This is going to be really good discipline from Nobility here. What a wonderful usage of the Metallitors. Falconetti Gunners putting massive ass pressure. I definitely do not doubt that they spent a lot of time figuring out these sniping positions. And look at that mortar right into the back. Got them Outriders once again, causing mayhem as they snipe out a couple. Even just a few units is going to be very painful. Oh, what a bait! Rips apart that phalanx though.
Surprise!
Fast enough that you can't even tag them. A little bit of skirmishing power goes a long way. Treb lands directly on them. Hits hard, takes off 3. Still, nevertheless, that's 15 Outriders wanting to just throw javelins at you right into the middle of that. We're taking a hard corner here, straight onto the supply point. Got Nobility lacking with some rear lines. Pulling up, not pulling up yet. A little bit slow. Front line engaged. Massive back line here. Flamers need to clear that stairs and start firing. Unfortunately, push onto the 5 point failed right now. Back line just getting absolutely crumped as they squeeze that center. Coming in late again with the rear guards. Also, the Anyadals coming in. Hard corner here. Not very great for cavalry. Nevertheless, they take another swipe straight into that pile. A bit too dense for them to defeat. Nobility takes a hard defeat there at the supply point. I definitely do not believe that Nobility is out just yet, but bless of God is still showing their absolute dominance with taking those individual fights really quickly. Nobility, you need to stop splitting your forces. Your front rear line, again, split. And you split your front again during that attack. You need to end up concentrating your forces. BOD might be better in a front-on fight, but if you're not going to win them, if you're not going to win front-on, you definitely need to figure out something. My goodness, look how fast those throws come in. I'd be super pissed at those Outriders, and yes, I would just be beating the ever-living crap out of those guys, but unfortunately they're a bit too tough. A bit too tough for the heroes to snipe out. That is terrifying to watch those cannonballs go overhead, each one landing with a force enough to... I mean, I've been shot by Metallitors, just a few shots, and I'm just like, my goodness. Look at that, just rips right through the line. Sends in the Outriders, gets cleaned up. The combined damage from the Metallitors and the Outriders, and the Metallitors are here at the front line, gonna shoot straight over as they pile in more straight. This is like fish in the barrel. Perfect scenario for where you want the Metallitors. They got long range and short range down pack. We've also got another squeeze, but Nobility is pushing through slowly. Backline is faltering. More phalanxes move to reinforce. Frontline is losing steam. ISGs here at the front slowly getting killed by the companions at the front. Phalanx is holding strong. Unfortunately, primary push falters. ISG still alive somehow, even after getting flanked by cavalry. Rows and rows of phalanx. A spear on the point. Nobility has unit advantage. Metallitors still firing somehow. There's 3 of them left. And here comes a cavalry charge. No! Short sword in the back, definitely making a mess of the line. Phalanx from... Oh my goodness. We also have companions on the point. Again, Humans comes in, slaps that. I thought the Phalanx from BOD was winning in that scenario, but it turns out who was winning was Nobility. A very close fight. Unfortunately, I do think the earlier loss will lead to BOD's defeat. Sorry, the earlier loss will lead to Nobility's defeat. Gotta take a look at the remaining units. Just enough for a final assault. Probably not going to be perfect, but plenty of cavalry for BOD. BOD got some reserves as well. Could sacrifice the cavalry or sacrifice the infantry for the cavalry. We got a couple of artilleries left over, but BOD not going to take this sitting back. They might actually go on the offensive here. They know they have the advantage. Unit count is low. Hard corner. Whoever turns this corner probably going to eat it. Big hit onto those phalanxes. We got some cavalry battle in the rear. Not sure what to watch right now. Got a little bit of skirmishing power in the form of the Vanguard Archers. Definitely probably should have had them out when the Outriders were challenging you. Unfortunately, Nobility loses their companions. Does kill their own companions on the other side. This could be another squeeze. Hard corner. Off to another split yet again. Front line is barely holding. More cavalry coming rushing through. Unfortunately, infantry is winning on both sides. Doesn't look good for Nobility. Nobility just getting crushed. Once again, hard corners seem to be the death of an attack. Defenders take this easily, winning the final battle. All three battles going to BOD on this siege battle on Arbor City. We got 2 minutes left to go. Condottieri's come out charging what? Some cavalry. Smack bang right on top of them. Unfortunately, as much as Condottieri's are quite terrifying, you only get one good slap with that shock attack, unfortunately. Stun on brace is also very powerful. Does look like Nobility is calling a default, as the remaining life has chosen to exit the battle rather than wait the remaining minute. Very strong performance from BOD as expected. Nobility, although I must say, whoever's control Icoma, I love your work with the Outriders. Absolute amazing that you brought them along, and amazing that we get to see. Oh wait, he didn't bring it this time. Who brought the Outriders? Ah, I didn't get to see. I thought Icoma brought Outriders the last time, but nevertheless, I definitely do love a little bit of skirmish. Really should see some more skirmishing come through before the primary battle hits. Otherwise, if like the setup, the unit composition, everything. I didn't go through the thing. I was rushing it a bit. Anyway. Not much to say, but BOD, they've got that little bit extra thing working for them. Not only is their teamwork on point, they're very, very, very good. They know when to engage. But it's the skirmishing that's doing real headaches. I don't think teams are very used to skirmishing, especially since Outriders are very strong. Their javelin, exploiting javelins, do ignore shields, or essentially block break instantly. And even if you don't block it with the shield, even if you, the damage from them should not be taken lightly. We saw a Orochi samurai eat a couple of javelins from behind, of course, but 5 of them dropped dead real fast. And just a couple of cycles on the Outriders, you could be losing 5 units, 5 units, 5 units really fast. It is of my opinion that you want to match skirmishing capabilities or understand the range capabilities of your opponent, because the pressure from range is way, way more terrifying in the long run than it is when battle is engaged. So the longer, in this case, the longer BOD could stretch out the skirmishing part of the battle, the more, the better their advantage is when the fight clashes. We saw in the first one, they took heavy damage, they split a little bit. It was a little bit messy, but definitely in favor of BOD regardless. In the second fight, there was a little bit less kind of skirmishing, and it did end up into a more even exchange. Although we don't get to see like the kind of unit numbers there. I definitely do think
What's your business here?
Nobility needs to figure out how to match the pacing of BOD, and definitely need to focus more. Several times they've split. I understand that splitting is inevitable. You need to figure out allocation of units, allocation of resources, and it's very important to understand the composition of your enemy. There's a couple of times where I'm thinking, there's a little bit too many phalanxes here. Is this really the best choice of units? The ISGs didn't make much headway with the phalanxes. It would have been very slow in the first place, but the hero probably would have died. But they're great. They're great frontliners. Phalanxes are not going to do very well against them. Especially. Alright, we're going to get to see another set of battles on Reginopolis. Nobility attacking first, hopefully, since this is their home ground right now. Not home ground, but like, since this is their attack of choice, I'm hoping Nobility has a plan to beat Bless of God. Bless of God won't have as much room to maneuver, unlike Harbor City, which has plenty of room for cavalry. This is going to be tight spaces. Infantry will reign supreme. Will they retreat to the C point, or will they actually defend the A and the B point? I've only seen probably 2 or 3 defenses at the A and the B point. Only one was successful, I believe. But here's hoping. We're waiting. I'll be right back. I'm I'm going to grab another cup of water.
Let me see what you're capable of.
I'm nobody. I have nothing. A hero soldier in the world.
Know that you can use the computer to strengthen your units or gain access to others.
You look tired. Need the soul coming.
Know that you can use the computer to strengthen your units or gain access to others.
I'm nobody.
Know that you can use the computer to strengthen your units or gain access to others.
Let me see what you're capable of.
Still haven't started the second battle. Very surprising. Okay. Ugh. I'm reading the Discord a little bit since there's a little bit of downtime. But let me explain why Alice is wrong. So, Alice here loves to talk a lot. Same with me. I love to talk a lot as well. Now, he makes an argument. Well, not an argument. He makes a statement saying that Pappies has 50% lower DPS when they're on shield mode. That is not true. And you know why that's not true? Because I actually test the DPS for all of the ranged units. Might not be up to date, but I have a very good understanding on every single ranged unit and their relative damage, not accounting for accuracy. That is one thing that is absolutely impossible to calculate. Like, how the heck am I supposed to figure out how many hits and how many misses a unit has in general? Ugh.
I'm nobody.
Anyway. for those of you on my stream, I'm gonna give you a little bit of knowledge on the Pavis. I don't know when, I don't know why, and I don't care. Pavis right now in shield. Oh, sorry. They're the main argument is that Alice is saying that Pavis in shield mode. I'm not sure if I expressed that in shield mode. Deal 50% less damage, or their DPS is 50% lower than versus their normal mode. The information I'm going to give you is very easy to compile and very easy to test for yourself. That's not the amount of DPS they deal in shield mode is actually higher than normal mode, and there is particular reasons why. Now, we have to go over two of the very, very stupid things that happened recently. One is the Impale Doctrine caused a lot of headache for me. And what this did was it set the damage decay rate on every... Well, there's only two of them, but like the damage decay rate on penetrating shots to 65%, meaning that they only deal 35%, they lose 65% of their damage on the second hit. What this also means is that the Pavis, which used to have a decay rate of, I'm not sure if they changed this to 40? Dang it. It's either was set to 40 or set to 30. I can't remember, but the minimum... I think it was set to 40 the last time. But the minimum amount of damage for Pavis, luckily, is set to 20. It's set to 20. Now, absolutely hilarious thing is that the Demez... absolutely hilarious thing is that the Demez crossbowmen are set... don't have a limit. So their maximum attenuation is minimum damage. So with penetrating shots, you will literally see their damage decay to 50 damage. Mind-boggling. Or is it 100? I think it's just slightly under 100 actually. It's not as low as 50, but it's just slightly over 100. Now, given all of the penetrating things and stuff, for some odd reason, not odd reason, by default, activating shield mode reduces your penetrating amount by 1. So I think it's set to 4. I can't really confirm, but default should be around about 4. It can in shield mode you hit 3. Now you got to make up for roughly around 20% damage. They shoot much faster in shield mode than in normal mode. So unless you're hitting 4 units constantly, you're dealing more damage in shield mode than you are in normal mode. And only in very extreme scenarios will the Pavis deal more damage in normal mode than in shield mode. You're actually better off using shield mode to deal DPS. And that's just something that is very quirky about the Pavis. I don't know when they changed it, I don't know why, but the DPS increase in shield mode is significant enough where it's tangible. How is people not realize that having Pavis in shield mode is better? Maybe you want to conserve ammo? Maybe get better bang for your buck if you can hit 4 units? There are definitely some times where density plays a part in this. Keep clicking on the wrong one. Now we are on the first attack for Reginopolis. Nobility versus BOD. BOD 2. Nobility 0. Lots of infantry. What's what I expect here on Reginopolis. BOD? What's you bringing out Tiger's Fist for? Not the first time I saw Tiger's Fist, but very strange. Not really a unit I would consider. Claymores is also a very strangely classic off pick? I don't know. They provide a very strong buff. Insane buff. I think it's up to 35% melee damage resistance to a lot of units. They themselves are pretty tanky as well, but it's only over 15 seconds, so not a lot of time. Could cause a lot of difference, though. Anyway, plenty of paladins for both sides. Not as many I was expecting. Actually, a bit of a split between paladins and men-at-arms for BOD. Whether or not that will come into play is another question. We did get to see some high-tier infantry like the Orochi Samurais and Silidars make their returns. Retreating to the C point immediately. Oh, no, never mind. Not even retreating, just positioning. You know, I would be fascinated by a push by the tunnel. Not that anyone actually uses it, unfortunately. Oh. Fell off. Could not capitalize on it. Definitely not what you want to see. Battering rams get slowly, well, the surf units on the battering ram just slowly getting chipped away. I don't know why you would push the battering ram. I would just destroy this thing. Again, one of the only maps that has the gatehouse destroyable. Circumvents the whole pushing the battering ram kind of thing. Probably just sending in their troops as well. Oh, did any unlucky units get sniped by this thing? We do have some natural bombards, and it is terrifying. Bombards will just kill nearly anything. Though, if I was to be mean, I would put my phalanx here, and they take a hit, and I just walk them away. Because that blue shield actually protects them from that, which is funny. Looking at the new formation for the Imperial Pike Guards. Good to see them on the field. Really one of the all-time favorites. Got one of the most powerful infantry ability in the game. Unfortunately, just not very much damage for a unit that's also fairly squishy as well. But nevertheless, that really fast grape shot deployment. Scares off the B point here. Ooh, this terrain does make it hard to see. Not a lot of space. Tight corners. Interestingly enough, here finally comes. We got fight here on the B point. Though they did not notice something. Again with the splitting. Does get taken advantage of really fast. Comes back. trying to chew through the side of this, surprisingly. But here comes another flank. I'm not sure what's happening. Unable to shore up their flanks here. Big chunks come out. But looks very good. Strong, in fact. Nobility takes those fights really easily. I think BOD didn't allocate all of its forces for that fight. But I could be wrong about that. In fact, there was a fight here at the A point I didn't get to catch to see. The B point does get captured. Supply point gets captured. And 3 heroes try to run their way. BOD takes heavy losses. Off to a bad start for BOD. Does go for an AB defense, but doesn't work out for them. Does not work out for them. Absolute advantage for Nobility. This is a good amount. There goes the A point, getting that extra time. Surprisingly, this inner wall break is not destroyed. Whether or not they will use artillery to destroy it. A little bit of a mortaring phase. We've got 12 minutes to go for the C point. BOD needs to make up, so a little bit of skirmishing should go a long way. Don't want to take damage for free. Never want to take damage for free. That's why good old shield units protect you from these raining arrows. But the muskets will hurt you regardless. Probably one of the things that I really hate. Especially the caltrops. Caltrops also. Not sure why Nobility is deploying a mortar up here. Mortars on top this section are easily destroyed. You want to deploy them on the down low. But you don't reach as far. Not very as threatening. Whoa! We got metallic doors shooting from where? Angles! Absolute terrifying angles! Wall break does go down. Nobility wants to go through it after taking so much damage. Mortars as well coming in, and a volley comes out from the Lion's Roar. Outriders! Outriders. Someone else with the Outriders. We got also Daikili Militia on the wall. A nice call to stop the push. Nobility to... Whoa! Free unit! Critical error. It's just a unit though. Could impact the long term. And BOD is already down. Definitely could not afford to lose a unit like that. Especially with nothing to show for it. Literally getting bad.
Für den König.
Once more. Slow to move. But again, you can't really do much when you start eating it. Oh my goodness. Another hard volley. Takes the interesting small gate. My goodness, how did those flamers survive? Need to get down those stairs. Unfortunately, cannot make it. Outriders come into the rear. What happened? Oh my goodness. Lions Roar crew also wrecked directly. I don't know what happened there, but I think it was the hard corner stairs. So absolutely could not do anything. Could not do anything down those stairs.
Arena time.
I did not think it would be this bad. That was such a terrifying loss.
Kraliyet mensuplarını koruyoruz.
I'm wondering how many kills that Lions Roar crew just got just now. Only 19? I feel like that's a lie.
使命を全うする。
Oh man, these Aikido militia. 54? Better use a different unit, but like... Okay, these paladins picking up 90 kills. If he doesn't have like 60 phalanxes in his score, when I check it at the end of the match, I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised. A C point defense like this, where no matter what you do, you're burning troops as you're walking up. Like it is. You have village watchmen? I did not believe that nobility is out of troops like this. Sure, they've taken an L, but who was out of troops? Who brought the village watchmen? My goodness! He actually burnt through all three of his troops! Oh my goodness, finally this guy just sends it! Take out those Aikido militia! Do not go down those stairs immediately! Takes down that bridge! Alright, we got a clear battle line. Cavalry comes in a weird position. Does get the sharp end of a stick. Going on strong. Phalanx comes in from the rear. But Paladins after Paladins will clean that up very easily. This is what you like to see. Hard fight. Cannon shots going right over. That tiny elevation causing all of the shots just to go overhead. But these guys in the front taking a hard L as they just get pelted by pellets. Would definitely not like to rush through that, no matter how many lives you have. Whoa! Dude does take out all of the cannons there. Lions Roar. As much as I love you, baby, you did not do too well that round. Who used the Lions Roar there? Probably pulled out different units. Mermiolonis, I'm not sure if I saw that correctly. They kind of walked through the phalanx. Gets cleaned up. Phalanx is holding the line. 7 minutes to go. I think this might be a mistake. Depending on how this goes, we've got only leftovers coming through here. Why are they trying to hold the point? That's so much cavalry. There's only 3 companions, and these phalanxes needs to hold off against all of them. Oh my goodness, slowly chunking down. All of the companions are almost down. One last load. Whoa! Another load of cavalry just spawns out. We got Yan Yudal's a good combination could see the end of this infantry pile. Doing the circle, right into the center. Yan Yadal's cleans the center. Phalanxes goes down. The entirety of that infantry pile gets eviscerated. Paladins, phalanxes, whatever. Units are on the low. We've got very powerful cavalry still remaining. Barely any phalanxes left. Phalanxes just get skewered by a storm pound from the companions. We also have Condottieri just running out right now. I think nobility is on the back foot and needs to run away, as they have lost their attack. There is over 5 minutes left to go, and oh, what a terrifying exchange. We've got a couple of units remaining. Unfortunately, the unit matchup is not in their favor. Oh my goodness, is that a permadeath? He's permadeath! No! Okay, the guy with halberdiers is permadeath. How many of nobility is permadeath to here? Can I get the score, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 permadeath. That means there's only 9 heroes left. And one of the most crucial units you would definitely want. That halberdier unit. Oh, that's going to be super brutal as well. Still has the Lion's Roar crew. Would be asking for a bad day. Just gets shotgunned. Siladaz wants to make a breach. Condottieri's trying to hold another volley. Holding that gate like their lives depended on it. But here comes the cavalry. Cavalry gets stuck. Can't make it through that small gate. Paladin still holding that front. But another volley from the Lion's Roar. A flank could easily wipe out the remaining forces. But I think those Paladins are... There's only 4 of them left. Gets shotgunned.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
And once again, cavalry supremacy shows that even after a good fight coming from nobility, the sheer number of cavalry, even against phalanxes, wins the day.
Walk in the park.
I have no doubt that BOD was holding that cavalry for that precise moment. Or maybe it just worked out really well for them. But if we saw nobility got its act together to take that C point much earlier and regrouped before pushing through, I think they could have taken this battle. I think they rushed it. Lack of discipline at the near end of that push. They should have realized that BOD did not take a loss and a respawn was incoming. But as I expected, BOD takes a 3-0 victory. And congratulations to BOD. They move on to the semi-finals? I believe it's the semi-finals. Top 4. Let's just call it the top 4. Let's take a look at Icoma. Not as many phalanxes as I was expecting. I honestly was expecting way more phalanxes than that. But, nevertheless, we still have a good performance out from everyone. I actually cannot believe that nobility actually stayed around to get killed. This is one of the few times I've actually seen all of the attackers die. 9 kills. To get over 5 kills is already really good. Like, getting 5 kills in CBL is already a high number of hero kills. But getting 9? You're almost double digit, bro. There's only a possibility of 45 kills, and you're almost 1/5 of the kills. No, you're 1/5 of the kills. You have 1/5 of the kills. That's crazy. Crazy. It was a tough swing. It's a bit of back and forth. Hi, Coconut Stick. BOD did super well on their C defense first attack. They kind of fumbled with the A-B defense, but they dragged it so hard back on the C defense that it was amazing. The second push into C, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but Nobility just going in with the Paladins really chunked out everything there. There was so many phalanxes coming out from Bless of God that the matchup was just really bad for them. The problem is that in the final leg, the cavalry started coming out for BOD, and I definitely think Nobility should have expected this and should have known that they had respawn advantage and would have respawned with something fast. So when they pushed with not only weakened units, not like, do mind, they've already gone through 3 whole battles, so everyone should be on their last unit or near last unit. And they pushed through, allowing BOD to use their cavalry to sweep up the remaining paladins. And not only that, the cavalry overwhelmed the phalanxes really easily, coming in from different angles. You watched that companion Yan Yudao double attack. The companions sacrifice themselves. The Yan Yudao swings right into the center of that pile, eliminating it in one go. You sacrifice a cavalry, but you would have lost so much more if you allowed the phalanx to remain. And again, BOD knew what they were doing. They weren't scared of the phalanx. They knew exactly how strong phalanxes are, and with the Yan Yudaos, they just eliminated it. You can beat everything with cavalry. There is very few weak... Well, cavalry is just so easy to be cost efficient and so powerful that in the right situations, they will turn the tide. Despite matchup. And that's probably one of the biggest balancing issues that I think CB has. But do we like cavalry like this? I'm of the opinion that the reason why it hasn't changed is because players like cavalry to be this strong. Honestly, I don't want cavalry to be this strong and us requiring polearm units to be even stronger against them. I think that's just silly. Anyway, that's enough talk. You've heard my voice for you've heard my voice for 3.5 hours. We got to watch some very cool matches. We first saw Team AMG facing off against Frank GGG. Unfortunately, Frank GGG did lose 0-3 to AMG. And we just finished watching BOD versus Nobility. BOD winning 3-0. We get to see these guys continue on to the top 4. And hopefully we'll get to see more exciting battles soon. Unfortunately, the next time you guys will see me will be on Let me just bring up the schedule again. Actually, you will see me on the 22nd for the first round of the top 4, and I won't be able to do the second set of top 4. And finally, we have the semifinal. It says semifinals and finals on the 25th. I'm sorry, Lich. I would love to commentate for as many matches as I possibly can. Unfortunately, my schedule just did not match up, and I did not make time to commentate for all of the tournament. I wish I did. Unfortunately, the time frame was just not released in time for me to make those calls. Thanks for your understanding. But that is all for today's matches. I hope you guys enjoyed my commentary, and other than that, my name is Atsukai. Have a nice day. Bye for now.